There's a phase nobody warns you about. The quiet phase. Not the chaos, not the breakup, not the manipulation, or the silence after it. Because people think when a narcissist disappears, the story is over. But sometimes, that's when the real game begins. And if you don't understand this phase, you'll mistake silence for peace. That's exactly what happened to me. At first, I thought I finally escaped it. No messages, no fake emergencies, no emotional chaos, nothing. And honestly, that silence felt strange. Because after months of emotional confusion, my nervous system didn't know what to do without the noise. That's the part nobody talks about. When you spend enough time inside manipulation, calm starts feeling unfamiliar, almost suspicious. But little by little, I started rebuilding myself. I slept better. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. I stopped replaying old conversations in my head. And for the first time in a long time, I could hear my own thoughts again. That's when I made the mistake. I thought healing meant they were gone forever. But narcissistic control doesn't end just because communication ends. Sometimes it waits quietly, and looking back now, I can see the signs started long before I noticed them. Tiny things, almost invisible. Someone viewing my stories that never used to. An old photo suddenly being liked. A random account appearing, then disappearing. Things small enough to make me question myself. And that's how it starts. Not loudly, carefully, because the moment they realize direct access won't work anymore, they switch strategies. They stop trying to reach you emotionally and start trying to enter your awareness. That distinction changes everything because now they don't need a response. They just need presence, a reminder, a feeling, a disruption. And once that disruption enters your mind, the cycle quietly restarts internally. Even if no conversation happens, that's why this phase is dangerous. Because from the outside, nothing is happening. But psychologically, everything is happening. And the worst part is, you don't even notice it at first. You just start thinking about them again. Randomly, in the middle of your day, while driving, while eating, while trying to sleep, and suddenly someone you hadn't thought about in weeks is back in your head every hour. That's not accidental. Because narcissistic manipulation was never only emotional. It was neurological. Conditioning, patterns, triggers, association. Your brain learned to expect interruption from them. So when they reappear subtly, your nervous system reacts before your logic does. That's why people relapse emotionally, even when they know better intellectually. And this is where most people start slipping backwards. Not physically, mentally, they start checking again, looking again, analyzing again, trying to decode every tiny signal. And the moment that happens, the narcissist regains something valuable. Your attention. Because attention is emotional access. And emotional access is the beginning of control returning. But here's what changed this time. I stopped reacting internally, not just externally. That's the difference most people miss. Anyone can ignore a message. But can you ignore the mental spiral after it? That's the real test. Because healing isn't just silence between two people. It's silence inside your own mind. And once I realized that, everything shifted. I stopped searching for hidden meanings, stopped checking indirect posts, stopped trying to understand what they were thinking. And the second I emotionally disconnected from the investigation, their behavior escalated fast. Because narcissists can feel when access is fading, even without words. And suddenly, everything became louder, more visible, more intentional. That's when the public performance started. The happy photos, the sudden confidence, the exaggerated transformation. And if you've lived through this, you know exactly what I mean. It feels perfectly timed, almost theatrical, like they need you to see it, because they do. And this is the illusion that traps people. You look at their new life, their new energy, their new person, and your brain immediately asks, why couldn't they be like that with me? That question destroys people emotionally, because now you're no longer grieving the relationship. You're grieving potential, the fantasy, the version of them you hoped was real. But here's the truth that changed everything for me. Healthy people don't suddenly transform overnight, the exact moment they lose control over someone. That's not healing, that's image management. And image management only exists when someone needs an audience. Real healing is quiet. Real growth doesn't perform. Real peace doesn't need witnesses. And once I understood that, the illusion started collapsing. Not because they changed, because I finally saw clearly. That's when the cycle became predictable, almost scripted. First silence, then subtle reminders, then indirect visibility, then emotional bait, then guilt, then curiosity, then familiarity. Every single stage designed to reopen emotional access. And the scariest part, most people mistake familiarity for safety. That's why the comeback works. Not because it's convincing, because it feels known. Your brain confuses familiar pain with emotional connection. So when they return casually, your nervous system lowers its guard automatically. And that's where people re-enter the cycle without realizing it. Not through love, through recognition. But this time, something inside me stayed awake. I noticed the timing. I noticed the patterns. I noticed how every reappearance happened. Right when I was finally moving forward. That's not coincidence, that's interruption. And once you see interruption clearly, you stop romanticizing it. That changes everything. Because now, you stop asking, do they miss me? And start asking, why do they only return when they feel me detaching? That question exposes the entire pattern. Because real love doesn't panic when control disappears. Only possession does. And the moment I understood that, the emotional hook stopped landing the same way. Not immediately, but gradually. Like waking up from hypnosis. Suddenly, the things that once confused me became obvious. The timing, the guilt, the silence, the performances, the fake closure, the strategic disappearances. It all followed the same structure, different wording, different timing, same cycle. And once you fully see the cycle, something irreversible happens. You stop hoping for a different ending because you finally realize the pattern was the ending. That's the part that frees you, not revenge, not answers, recognition. Because once you recognize the game, you stop personalizing it. And once you stop personalizing it, their power starts collapsing. That's why awareness scares manipulators more than distance ever will. Because distance can be closed, awareness can't. And eventually, that changes the dynamic permanently. Because now, even if they come back, you see the mechanism before the emotion. You see the pattern before the nostalgia. You see the timing before the fantasy. And once that happens, the cycle loses its invisibility. That's the real ending nobody talks about. Not when they leave, not when they return, but when their behavior finally stops confusing you. Because confusion was always the doorway. And clarity closes it forever.